Okay, that's fine. I guess something's not working over there, but let's go ahead and go through the subject to deal. Today we have a subject to deal or sub to deal. A creative finance deal, which means that you're buying the property subject to the existing financing, but you're not taking out a new loan on the deal. Now, in this scenario, you still own the property. You're just not taking out another loan to pay off one loan to take control of the property. So this is advantageous in some scenarios because, well, you might get access to a very low interest rate. Well, in that case, that could be interesting, but let's see what does that really mean. So you have a property in 325 Spiny Lizard Lane in San Marcos, Texas, 78666. This is $290,000, 702. Interest rate, 2.75%. $2,077. Your entry fee is $37,728 with closing costs. Okay. So in this scenario, you would be buying the property subject to. So in this scenario, let's see, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,556 square feet. Total cash to sell is $10,000. There's $17,728 in arrears, and you got $10,000 in assignment. So you're essentially helping the person catch back up on their mortgage with $17,000. You're giving the seller or the agent maybe $10,000 to walk away from the deal, and you're paying $10,000 for the deal finder who negotiated this deal. Okay. Now that you got this piece in place, you got a PIT of $1,898, your HOA payment of $85, and you got $94 in solar payment. So you got a total monthly payment of $2,077. Let's see. Mortgage, existing loan, $252,974, 2.75%. Maturity date, February 2029, 52. Solar loan, $20,000. Okay, so let's plug all these numbers in. And the first I need to do is find out the rent rates. So in order for me to find out rent rates, I looked at this property on Zillow, and you can see that one, it is relatively turnkey. So this looks pretty good. Okay. And now this is in what county? Let's go back to the listing. Let's look up the county. This was in, just by doing control find search, you can see that it's in Hays County. So when we Google HUD FMR, let's go to this from the beginning. HUD FMR, you can click on the first link on the top, then click on the access to small area FMRs. And then what you're going to do is look up FY 2025. And then what you're going to have is Texas, Hays County. And now you're going to get by bedroom count, by zip code, what this property ran out for in 78666. So we can go to 78666. You can see the rent ceiling for a 3-bedroom is $1,960 and a 4-bedroom is $2,280. $1,960, $2,280. $1,960, $2,280. And this is 78666. 78666. 78666. Now, when you compare the 1960, even though it includes utilities, right, it's already lower than your total monthly payment of $2,077. I probably know it's going to be a negative cash flowing deal already. So right then and there, you could probably stop analyzing the deal unless you're buying the property specifically to as a primary residence, right? In this scenario, that might be a really good advantageous interest rate at 2.75%. You're taking over that loan. Or in another scenario, well, in that scenario, you could also get, let's see if we get market rent. So if you go to market rent, and I'll just go to affordablehousing.com, I'm going to the owner section, the market rent center, plugging the address, plugging in bedroom count. And now you're going to see that for 25 units within a 0.24 mile radius, the average rent is $1,975. So that's kind of right in line with your rent ceiling, right? 1960 versus 1975. So let's use 1975, assuming you rent out as a market rate, not even Section 8, because the Section 8 rent would probably be even lower than 1960, because that 1960 number for the rent ceiling typically includes things such as utility allowances. So if you don't cover utilities such as water, sewer, trash, electricity, gas, blah, 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 well, you're going to deduct that utility allowance from your maximum rent, because the government gives a stipend to the tenant that they can apply towards utilities. So that kind of keeps the tenant accountable for how much they use electricity, for how much they use water, et cetera, et cetera. Now, let's plug in another number, 1998 1898, 1806. I'm just typing all these numbers because my partners already know how to analyze these deals. So it's easy when I put in numbers here and they just understand exactly what I'm doing with it. All right. So now that I got these numbers in, let's see how much money we're going to cash flow negatively, because we're already ruled out the deal, right? We already said, hey, this is probably going to be a deal that you don't cash flow on. And you could either stop at this point, or you can continue going forward and see whether or not, and see how much money you're actually losing in reality. And we're going to do this for educational purposes, even though for me personally, if I were to look at it for myself, I would probably have stopped analyzing this deal already. 290,702 for my rehab. The property looked relatively turnkey based on everything that I saw. So I'm just going to change my toilets to high pressure flush toilets as usual. $5 for landscaping, $1,500 for the roof. That gives me roughly around it was multiplied by 3. So I got to delete that and then B6. Now it's 3,500. Great. My rent is $1,975. Okay. I'm setting aside 10% of my maintenance every single month for maintenance, for replacing the roof, water heater, HVAC. Eventually, that's going to come down the road. 10% for property management and 5% for vacancy. All right. Now that I got that in place, I'm now going to the principal portion. In the principal portion, there is a deal where I'm going to plug in all these numbers. So your total mortgage details 252,974. That's the balance. 252,974 with a 2.75% interest rate. It was going to mature in 229.52. So this started in 229.22. Oh, it's probably a leap year. 228.22. There you go. And there's another solo loan for 23.25. 23.25. They don't give me any details on what the solar loan looks like. Is there long-term rental actually makes sense? All right, now that I've got these details in place, I know my total monthly payment is $2,077. So I'm gonna come in here, it goes $2,077. And I know that this includes my solar and my HOA. So I'm not gonna double count the HOA, but I also don't really care about the interest rates on the solar loan because this total monthly payment number is all I care about right now. So I'm gonna take $2,077, the total monthly payment number, minus the principal and the interest portion in B20, B21 for the subject to loan that I'm taking over the payments for, minus the principal and interest portion of the solar loan that I'm taking over the payments for. That's going to equal to $955.81. All right. So now for my insurance payment, I'm going to add an extra $30 for insurance because that typically goes up every single month. Okay. All right. So now that I got all these pieces in play, I now know that if I sell this, if I rent this property as a 3-bedroom for $1,975. Oh, let's put an entry fee so you can see the whole thing. $10,000 for cash to seller, $17,728 for arrears, $10,000 for assignment fee, 2.5% for closing costs, $3,500 for renovations. That's going to equal $1,975. My cash flow per month is going to be negative $626 a month. That's a negative 15.5% return on your capital, which is not a deal, right? But if you have a friend that is trying to move to Texas and they don't want to take out a new loan because 2.75% is probably the lowest interest rate you'll ever get on this property, well, in that scenario, you are going to be golden, right? Because that's a big deal. That's a deal for you. But in this scenario for an investor, it's not necessarily a deal for us because that it's not going to cash flow. Again, this is not investment advice. We're not soliciting any investments on this call. We're simply showing you all the work that we do every single day to take emotions out of the deal and stay objective on how you can identify whether or not a property is going to cash flow. I just got emailed this property today. So my hope is that you look at the same deal I looked at today, right? See how fast we root out this deal. Because guess what? When you talk to a partner and they say, hey, why do you think this is a deal? First of all, you can tell them, hey, I know this is a deal because I've been looking at deals for the past 345 days. And these are all the deals that were not deals. And this is also how I quickly realized that this wasn't a deal. Because learning how to say no to a deal is almost equally, if not more important, than figuring out how to spot a deal. Because if you are able to avoid burning out, right, you can outlast everybody in this industry, right? There are people out there that are not being efficient with their time. They're looking at every single deal, spending 15, 30 minutes all the time. And guess what? How do you burn out? You burn out when you do a lot of work for no return on that effort. And that can be very discouraging. That can be very detrimental to your mental health. But that's why we do this. We do this every single day. So we build the habit so we can be better at analyzing deals in 95% of the country. If you just do this for 18 minutes a day for 365 days, that's all it takes. All right. If you guys want to copy the spreadsheet, again, I didn't make the spreadsheet from scratch. I got it from a few other folks. I combined different versions. I tweaked it. I modified it so that it suits how I analyze deals the fastest way as possible. And if you go to affordablehousing.io, go to the Get Deal Analysis tool. That's the fastest way for you to get our spreadsheet. And again, copy my homework. Put it on your own spreadsheet. It's not investment advice. We're not soliciting any investments on this call. We're just simply showing you the process that we go through every single day to practice and put in our reps. That's it. All right. I hope you all have an amazing Monday. Hope you all have an amazing week. If I don't talk to you again, I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 346. Have an amazing day, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow.